A quick new idea daily from the world's greatest TEDx talks. I'm your host, Atosa Leone, and this is TEDx Shorts. If you went to a barbecue, would you be shocked to learn that the hot dogs were actually made from canine meat? Whether we eat meat or don't, we've built a narrative around which animals are acceptable to slaughter for food. Psychologist Melanie Joy wants to push back on these artificial constructs and ideas, which she calls carnism. Today, she challenges our traditions around eating meat and demonstrates how the practice goes against many core human values.
Most of us care about animals. We teach our children to be kind to animals. Our hearts leap when we witness them at play. We empathize with animals. We share their fear, their joy, their sorrow. And how many of you have cared about a certain animal in your life? I'd like to do a thought experiment. Imagine that you're a guest at a dinner party and your host serves you a dish that looks delicious. Imagine you find it so delicious that you ask your host for the recipe. And she replies that the secret is in the meat. You use 3 pounds of well-seasoned golden retriever. Now take a moment to reflect on your thoughts and feelings. Chances are what you had just thought of as food, you now think of as a dead animal. What you just felt was delicious, you now feel is disgusting. Chances are your experience of the meat dramatically changed, even though nothing about the meat itself actually changed. So what changed? Well, what changed is your perception of the meat. And when it comes to eating animals, our perception is shaped largely, if not entirely, by our culture. So the question is, why are we not disgusted by the select species we have learned to think of as edible? And why don't we ever ask why? Have you ever wondered why you might eat certain animals but not others? Have you ever wondered why you haven't wondered? For much of my life, I never wondered about my choice to eat certain animals because I never even knew I had a choice. No one had ever asked me if I believed in eating animals. Eating animals was just a given. It wasn't until 1989 that I started asking why. I had been hospitalized after eating what would be my very last hamburger. After being so sick, I swore off meat. And then something interesting happened. When I stopped eating animals, I had a paradigm shift. In other words, I didn't see different things. I saw the same things differently. Beef stew seemed no different than golden retriever stew. And everywhere I turned, I saw people putting the bodies of dead animals into their mouths as though nothing at all were wrong. So I became very curious as to how rational, caring people like myself could just stop thinking and feeling. Well, 2 advanced degrees later, I had my answer. And this is what I discovered. There is an invisible belief system or ideology that conditions us to eat certain animals. And I named this system carnism. We tend to assume that only vegans and vegetarians follow a belief system. But when eating animals is not a necessity, which is the case in much of the world today, then it is a choice. And choices always stem from beliefs. Now, carnism is a dominant ideology, meaning that it's so widespread, its doctrine is seen as a given rather than a choice. Eating animals is just the way things are. And it is a violent ideology. Ideologies such as carnism run counter to core human values, values such as compassion, justice, and authenticity. And as with other dominant violent ideologies, the myths of carnism are institutionalized. So carnistic bias is embedded within the very foundations of the system. It is the mentality of meat. What is the solution? How can we lead more authentic and freely chosen lives? Well, it turns out the solution is already in our grasp. Awareness is the first step of the solution. And acting from your awareness is the rest. To start, we can eat just one vegan meal a day or one vegan day a week. And we can spread carnism awareness. We have the potential to change the world. Thank you.
The TEDx talk you just listened to was recorded at a TEDx event in Munich, Germany. All TEDx events are independently organized by volunteers who believe in TED's mission of ideas worth spreading. Special thanks to the organizing team at TEDx München. Want to listen to the full talk? Find Melanie's talk and more at ted.com/TEDxShorts. I'm Atosa Leone. Thanks for listening and see you next time.